Akash Inti, the real reflection of you, and being extra dramatic today because I'm wearing my little hood. Now, I could take the hood down, but I don't think I need to. Well, I guess I could, but I don't know. I kind of like the hood. It's a little chilly in the woods today, and that's why I'm wearing not one, not two, not three, but 4 ponchos. Yeah, they're layered. It's one of my best kept secrets, is that the layering of the ponchos. Now, usually I think 2, maybe 3 is kind of standard, but 4 is really, really nice. And it's like awesome airflow wise because my arms, you can still see like you can still see my arms. I'm just wearing a t-shirt under this. So my arms are like exposed, but with all of the layering of these ponchos, it's like, oh my gosh. And I think they're all wool if I'm not mistaken. So it's just like 4 layers of wool on top of each other, lots of air current and airflow. Amazing, you know, you really don't sweat in this if it's chilly like this and you're moving around and such a lot. But what I will say is that if it does get warm, you start to sweat a lot. So you got to be careful there. Anyways, I am so grateful to be out in the woods again and hiking in the middle of this little wet period that we're having here in the latter part of May 2025. And the reason I say that is because, well, as you guys know, if you've been watching, and for those of you who haven't been watching, I love the woods. I really just love nature. I love being out and about in it, hearing the bird song, the howls of the wolves. No, I'm just kidding. There's no wolves around here. At least not now. There used to be at some point, but no longer. But just being out and about in nature is such a... I do this just about every day, and it never gets old to me. I walk the exact same path, and there's always something new. Like, for example, right now, I call this like the path of mud, because there's literally just like a stupid amount of mud here. Now, it's not always like this. Now, this tends to be like kind of the muddier area, even if it's not super muddy, but it's pretty muddy right now. And every day it kind of changes. There'll be like levels to this mud, you know? So some days it'll be really muddy, especially after it's rained like it has the past few days. Other days it will be like almost like just lightly muddy, you know? And I really don't mind the mud here because there's a little stream. And so I always wash my boots off as I walk through that part of the stream. So it really doesn't bother me too much walking through the mud because I know, well, it's just going to get washed off in the stream. Now, you guys really don't care about that, but that's something I think about every day. It's like, for the longest time, it would be like, well, I don't want to walk through the mud because I'm going to get my shoes dirty, then this, that, and the other thing. And so I try, like, walking around it and so on and so forth. And then through time, I realized, well, it's like, well, the next part of this thing is a stream, so why don't you just wash off your boots in the stream anyways? Well, and I would be like, well, I don't want to get my feet wet. So it's things like this, you know, that teaches me resourcefulness. When I'm walking out and about, all right, life gives you this, life gives you mud. Well, mud is not necessarily a pleasant experience always, though sometimes it is. Sometimes it's a great blessing in disguise that you just don't know about. But right afterwards, life has given me some water to wash off my feet. So I don't know, is it really that bad? No, not really. So maybe just take a little bit of everything in stride. And that's what the forest teaches me constantly. And it's not just the forest, it's wherever I go in nature. Is that, all right, here I'm presenting you a situation. And later on down the road, I'm going to present you another situation that may or may not be helpful. I don't really know. But what are you going to do with it? How am I going to use that? How am I going to fuel myself from that or be creative with what I'm being given or what's being presented in front of me? That is the magic, in my opinion, of the forest or nature in general. Trying to think what else I got to talk about right now. I mean, not too much. I got some family in town, which is really nice. You guys saw my little video from yesterday, visiting my buddy. If you watch my things every day, believe you me, I don't expect you to watch every day. In fact, I don't expect you to watch at all. So the fact that you're even merely watching is like, wow, you guys are quite the fans. Some really exciting developments on some movie stuff that I've got going on as well. I don't want to talk about it too much right now, but I do want it to be known that there are some very exciting developments ongoing. I almost just totally slipped on a root and face planted into some of the mud. So I'm glad that didn't happen on camera, because not only would my face have hit the mud, but I probably would have got my whole poncho situation all muddy. Now at this point, we're at about the 5-ish minute mark, At 5 minutes in, if you've stayed here this long, you're a really committed fan. But I never really expect people to stay past the 10-second mark, which is why I always do my trademark Akash. Well, maybe not always, but most of the time, Akash Shinty, the real reflection of you, which maybe I rebrand. I don't know. Maybe I'll come up with something new. But you don't always need to come up with something new. That's one of the things I've realized is that, you know what? Sometimes sticking through the tried and true, I know what this is and I know what I'm getting myself into, is a lot better than, oh, let's try this, let's try that, let's try this, Whether it sticks, whether it doesn't stick, not really important. One of my dreams, and I don't even know if I should say this publicly, because you know what they say, if you have a dream, keep it to yourself until it's realized, and then tell people about it. But I don't know, maybe I'll keep that one to myself. So, well, there you go. I just talked to you guys a little bit about dreams, and you want to make a dream happen, you got to keep some parts of it to yourself so that when it's realized, the magic isn't influenced by external forces. Because once you start talking about something, external forces have their way of playing with them. That being said, there's certain dreams that you have to include other people on in terms of talking about, discussing, etc. Because, well, you're going to require them in some way, shape, or form. So just that's a little note about dreams. And I'm not talking about the ones that you fall asleep to or that you imagine while you're in the day that you're in, like right now. No. I'm talking about the dreams that you had before you were born, during your birth, thereafter, and before your death, during your death, and thereafter. So make them happen, make them realize, and let's see what you got in terms of turning them into reality. Anyways, I'm probably going to go back to singing some pop, like 90s, 2000s pop, while walking on this trail. So until next time, Akash Shinty out.